From the City of Jackson Department of Engineering, Engineer Troy White. Hi, Troy.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, great to have you back. Snow flying this week. So is that
It just kind of means we're, last time I was here, we were saying we're getting close to the end, and the snow means we're at the end. So,
I remember, I don't know, 3-4 years ago when the new Blair Park traffic circle was on Greenwood.
yeah.
You weren't quite, the weather closed in on you too soon.
Well, it was also a problem with one of the contractors. There was a labor dispute. And
The asphalt
You
plant.
remember the asphalt? It did not get paved, so we had to leave it gravel for the winter. But we didn't have that this year. We've been done paving for several weeks now. We got all our paving done while the weather was warm. We've really only got one more project out there where they're working right now, and they've worked their way out of Michigan Avenue. They're working outside the street, so it'd be nice if we weren't working at all right now, but the work we are doing, the weather won't be a problem.
Good, because you're going underground. Let's start with East Michigan Avenue.
Yeah, that's the project that we've still got going on. That's where we're replacing lead services up and down Michigan Avenue. Like we've talked about, I don't know how many years now, we're required by the state to get all the lead services out, and Michigan Avenue, East Michigan. I don't think that's East Michigan right there. Oh yeah, it is East Michigan.
Yeah,
that's
at
up
first
there
I
by
didn't think it
Elm.
was either, yeah.
Yep. And we got to get the last of the lead pipe out for all those businesses. We've worked a lot in the neighborhoods. We haven't really gotten into the hard ones, and the hard ones are on the major streets, and you don't get much more traffic in major street than East Michigan Avenue. So we can't just do all the easy ones. At some point, we got to bite off the hard ones and get them going. So that's what's going on right now. We probably got about 2 more weeks of work left. I think this video was taken probably yesterday. They've pretty much worked their way out of the street, and any work they've got doing going forward is all going to be behind the curbs and outside of the pavement. So that's a good thing.
It's interesting how you're doing this. You're not doing a complete dig up of the street. It's like laparoscopic surgery.
Yep, just going to each service one by one, and just not removing any more pavement than we have to. And a lot of them, what's interesting up and down East Michigan Avenue, at some point in the past, a lot of those services are already copper to the sidewalk, and then from the building in, there's still some lead. So very few of them do we have to replace all the way from the water main into the building. There's been some, and there's not really been a real consistent pattern as to what we have to do where. Each service there is different. Some of them are part copper out in the street with lead by the building. Some are copper by the building with lead in the street, and some of them are all lead and some are all copper. So every one is different,
And you don't know until you get down there?
Well, we got good records, but the problem, we want to be confident that we don't have any lead in there. So even with our good records, before they dig a big hole, they'll dig it up behind the sidewalk, and they use we call it a Vector truck, and they make a small hole, and we actually look at it and verify, were our records correct or were they not correct? Because we don't want to lean on records that are 100 years old and then leave some lead pipe in the ground. So we have to actually visually verify that everything is copper.
And you've been able to maintain east and west traffic?
We have, but as you saw in the video, it's there's reduced lanes, there's traffic shifts, but we've kept traffic going both ways the entire time. Because that's important, not just for the commuters coming and going in and out of the city, but for the businesses along there. They need to be able to make sure that people are coming and going and able to get to them. If it was a residential neighborhood, we just close the whole street down, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It would impact just the people who lived on that street. But on a street like Michigan Ave, that's really not an option.
No, it's a trunk line, too.
Yes.
All right, let's go to Greenwood. Now, you guys got Greenwood done. I mean, it's beautiful.
It's been done for a little while. Yeah, we got it. That was we had to do all the sidewalk ramps, and then we put a new surface on it. That was one we didn't replace the full depth of the pavement. That's one of those where we milled off the surface and put a new surface on it. The pavement was getting old. It was starting to crack and break up, but it wasn't. But basically, what we did is we just redid the surface on it so we can extend the life of the pavement. Get some more years out of it before we have to rebuild it entirely.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, extended the life of it, and it's more cost effective if we can do those type of treatments where we just treat the surface and keep the pavement in better shape than if you do nothing and wait till it goes too far gone, it's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, and when doing it this way, it's obviously a much faster process.
Yes. Well, but when we do this too, we didn't do the water main, we didn't
Yeah,
do the
that's
sewers
true.
and stuff, but it was just basically how can we extend the life of this road and keep it in good shape.
Now West Avenue, there's Franklin and West here.
Yeah, that one was kind of interesting because when we did the two-way conversion, remember Franklin and Washington used to be
Yeah.
one-way pairs, and then we made those both two-way, and that was part of a long, I don't know how many years it's been, 20 years or 15 years that it's been a process of all these one-way pairs getting converted. That was one of the last ones, but I don't remember if you remember the intersection there. After the conversion, you had this funny situation where the lanes didn't line up and
Yep.
everything. So, and we also knew that the signal there was antiquated and it needed to be replaced. Both the signal heads, the controllers. So basically, we modernized and cleaned up the whole intersection. We made the lane work. We added some green space. We upgraded the traffic signal. Unfortunately, we're still waiting for the traffic signal.
The black.
The poles and the mast arms to come
Yeah.
in, and they'll be here in the spring. And once they do come in, that'll be relatively quick to put them up. But
I love those black mast arms and poles. It's obviously so much easier to see the traffic signals and the street signs, but it just makes us look like a
city.
A city, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of frames the intersection. I don't know if there's a study on it, but it kind of bulks everything up, and it probably lets people know that there is an intersection here. Because we've done the same thing down at West and Morel.
Mhm.
The bases are in, but again, we're waiting for the poles and the
Okay.
arms to come in, and we got the same thing at Greenwood and Fourth, and at Prospect and Fourth. All four of those intersections, the bases are in. We're just waiting for these the steel poles and the steel mast arms to come in. But
Supply chain.
there you go. That's exactly what it is. But it was slow to get that stuff before the shutdown, but the shutdown just made it last even longer.
All right, High Street. I think we're talking about maybe the High Street Bridge, East High Street
Oh
Bridge.
yeah, out there
Yeah.
by Elro. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was. We're finally done with that because remember that one took a long time. It looks like a brand new bridge, and it's mostly a new bridge, but we actually call it a rehab because it left the the abutment walls and the underground down by the river in place. We built a new deck on it and built new railings and everything. I don't know if you recall what it used to look like, but it used to be very, very narrow.
Yeah.
So we were able to widen it out and make it, especially narrow wasn't good, but it's especially not good when it's right down by the industrial park and you got those trucks coming and going,
Mhm.
So that bridge will serve us for a long time now. I think if this is 2022, I think 2024 we're scheduled to do some paving out there on High Street. So between the paving and then the bridge, it'll really clean up High Street a lot.
Yeah.
Give us a lot longer life. Unfortunately, that means we've got to wait a couple more years to get the paving done though, because that pavement is not in great shape.
All
But we'll
right.
get there.
Now, I think, did we see all the clips, Brandon? Oh, where'd Brandon go? He's not even here. Maybe the guy's upstairs.
Yeah.
Have we seen all the clips, guys? Oh, there's one more. There's one more clip.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to
All
think. The construction season is so long. I'm trying to remember, what else did we build this year that we haven't talked about? But
All right, well, let's take a look. West Ave.
West Avenue.
West Ave?
Oh, well, that's a continuation of Franklin.
Yeah.
We did, like we talked about that intersection, how we cleaned up that intersection, realigned the lanes, replaced the signal. But you remember, before we did that, we replaced the water main and all the lead services. So, and we did that in 2 separate contracts. But if you recall, that was tied down for most of the spring and summer.
It was a long
It was a
project.
long one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've got new water main all the way up to from Michigan Ave all the way down to Carlton, and basically we knew we had to do the water main up there by Franklin and up to Washington because it was undersized old 4-inch
Oh,
water
yeah.
main.
We were talking about
Yeah.
this years ago about the fire department not having enough water pressure.
Yeah, so it gives you low water pressure, gives you low quality in terms of like rustiness and stuff. So we had to replace the water main up to Washington. It left us one block up to Michigan, and it's kind of like, we've got new water main from Michigan all the way up to the North City limits, all the way up there to, Boardman Road.
Oh,
We can't just leave one block of old in there. So,
right.
that's one of our longest corridors where the water main's been replaced.
All right. So those are the main ones. Now you're looking at, I know you have to map all this stuff out years in advance. What are the highlights for next year?
Well, next year we're actually going to be doing, speaking of undersized water mains, we're going to be doing a project that will replace water mains on some local streets at I think 6 or 7 different locations.
Mhm.
And really what we're concentrating on at this point is those 4-inch water mains. Typically most old water mains were 6-inch. Nowadays when we put in water main, 8 inches are minimum size. But there's places around town, there's very few blocks, but they're out there where they have 4-inch water main, where the pipe's only about this big. But it's more than 100 years old. It's got like buildup and scaling inside that. So in some places that 4-inch water main, it's almost like a 1 inch on the inside.
So the shower pressure in those people's homes is terrible.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. And then when they're doing hydrant flushing, when they flush hydrants around town, we all get a little rusty water for a little bit. You got to run it out. But if you're on those 4-inch water mains, it's even more so. So we're really concentrating on those 4-inch water mains. Like I said, 6 or 7 locations, different places around town. And then when we do those, we're also going to be replacing all the lead service pipe.
Now we got word from the government that some $16 million is awarded to the city for the water lead lines. Does that increase your work, your schedule?
Yeah, and I think part of that's going towards these 4-inch water mains that we talked about. But, and a good part of that's going towards improvements at the water treatment plant. Another part of that's just going to lead service replacements alone.
Okay.
You'll see the type of work going on like we just discussed on Michigan Avenue, where instead of replacing the whole road, they're just going to dig up and do surgical replacements of lead service pipe.
Got it. We appreciate all the guys on your team, all the men and women who are doing all the great work. Thanks for taking time to be with us today.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
The City of Jackson Department of Engineering's Troy White. Up next,